Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. My name is Inbaal. I'm a psychic, tarot reader, and witch, broadcasting at you live from right here in the UK. Let us know where in the world you are. We're going live right now on the Bigfoot Outlaw Network. We are live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, on YouTube. And even though my screen is telling me we're live on Instagram, I have cause to believe that it is being dishonest. If you're watching us live, you should be able to get involved by sending us messages to the screen right under here, and they will appear like this message, for example. Scroll up. Like this message from Mark. You can see he's messaging from YouTube because there's a little YouTube thingy there. And it says, good evening, Inbal. Hope that you're okay. Hello, everybody else. I hope you're all okay as well. Please remember, says Mark, to press that like button so you know when Inbal is on, and also the thumbs up. That's how your message can arrive. So do not hesitate to get involved. Now, I have a gorgeous surprise for you. I've got a wonderful guest, an original guest who is joining me from also here in the UK. She is a goddess astrologer and a spiritual mentor, accepting new mentees right now. Would you please put your hands together for my friend Morgana Sophia? Yay!
Oh,
Welcome.
thank you
Welcome.
so much, darling. It's such a pleasure to be with you on this incredibly balmy evening in the UK.
Yeah, you're sweating too.
I'm very sweating, yes.
I've been dreaming the whole winter about when I'm going to get to sit in my house and sweat. So I feel like I've really achieved something here.
And it's been a beautiful day, I have to say. We should be so grateful for this fantastic weather, particularly as we move towards solstice as well, because I think we'd be moaning if it was raining. So
Yes, so it's nearly the middle of summer here at the time of recording. If you're watching us later on, then enjoy the wonderful vibes. I introduced you as a goddess astrologer, and we've never had one like this before. So, what is goddess astrology, please?
we are a very select bunch. Goddess astrology was very much founded by a beautiful priestess called Maria Jones. So she's the creatrix. She's also the initiatrix of the Silver Spiral. So the Silver Spiral currently is part of the Goddess Temple in Glastonbury's teachings. So we train with Maria for 2 years to understand not only astrology, but how we become priestesses of the Aquarian Aeons, this new age that we are moving into. And Goddess astrology itself really takes the patriarchal kind of take on astrology and reclaims it back for the divine feminine, back to the times when you and I would have been in the temples thousands and thousands of years ago, scattered all over the world, where we as priestesses would have been the astrologers and the astronomers and the prophetesses of that which was to come. So we're really reclaiming this ancient art, and we are very much birthing this new age by looking back at the stars and saying, what messages have we left for ourselves through the thousands and thousands of years? What fragments of our past can we pull forward? What learnings can we have so that we don't move into this new age in the lowest expression, but take the highest expression? And we are very much the women who've been here at the turning of the great ages. So the great ages essentially are you may have heard the age of Pisces, the age of Aquarius. They're about 2,160 odd years. I forget my astrology term, someone can correct me. But basically, they're aspects of time which go back about 10,000 years since the last, what we'd call a cataclysm. What that cataclysm is, I couldn't tell you, but maybe if we look towards the Bible, we see cataclysms such as great floods, for example, as an expression of something that has happened. So we are the women and the men who have been here at those turns of the great ages and are coming back now to incarnate as the astrologers, as the priestesses, as the prophetesses who are reading the skies and saying, this is what's going to happen. Do you want the highest expression of the age of Aquarius, which is community, connection, collaboration, really growing? Or do we want the lowest expression of the age of Aquarius, which essentially is careful what we say, a form of technocracy controlling us? The screen, the scroll of doom, is it that's going to control us, or are we going to be really working together? So that kind
That's
of is goddess
amazing.
astrology.
Yeah. So it puts together, obviously, astrology, um, deities from a specific pantheon, or are we sort of happy to work with everyone in goddess astrology?
Well, a bit of both. So the goddess that we dedicate into is Ari Anrod. Ari
My
Anrod is
favorite word in the English language, both. Which one do you want? Both.
so we both. So we dedicate into Ari Anrod. Ari Anrod is part of the Welsh pantheon. She is essentially the goddess of astrology and high magic. So she is the prominent deity that I work with on a daily basis. However, we see the planets all as goddesses. All those have archetypes itself, the star signs as goddesses as well. And there will be times where we are maybe linking in to a goddess of another pantheon. So not necessarily the Celtic pantheon. So, for example, when we're working in Leo season, we always think of the lion-headed goddess, of Sekhmet, of Egypt. So basically, we are reclaiming all aspects of the divine feminine, the good, the bad, and the downright interesting. Just thinking, because we work quite deeply with Lilith as an energy as well. So we take them all and bring them all in, but each priestess herself, although she is dedicated into Ari Anrod, part of the Great Mother, we also have other deities that we would work with as well. But so it's everybody, every single goddess that we align to. But for me, on a personal level, it's very much Ari Anrod as the astral aspect of the Great Mother.
Yeah, that's incredible. When you train new people, do you find that people kind of gravitate towards like their own family um, history pantheon, or do people sort of cross culture between incarnations?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. I love that. And I
Thank
think it's, for me, I haven't crossed pantheons predominantly. I'm very much within that kind of Celtic, kind of Norse tradition. Just think of, but also I pick up a lot of the kind of kind of Golden Dawn aspects as well. So that's kind of where I go into. However, we do have people that I know who have got other religious backgrounds, and be careful what I say, who do pick up deities of their pantheon as well. But it kind of seamlessly mixes in, because for me, every single goddess is an aspect of the Great Mother. So we do kind of not pick and choose, but we are naturally inclined to one or the other. And some people will go very much in how they've been brought up, but others will have said, that's it, actually I really want to go into this particular pantheon. But I think we're very blessed, because our pantheon, so to speak, they're actually the planets. So
Right.
there are goddesses. So they all have aspects within different pantheons that we can pick up. So Venus is Aphrodite, is Babylon, is Ashtar, Istar, Inanna. So Astarte. So we can pick aspects of her as the lover goddess to the goddess that really appeals to us. So again, it's a very British answer, isn't it? It's both. But whatever happens for all of us, it is very much about the Great Mother, and honouring and having that reclamation of the ancient arts of astrology and alchemy back into this feminine line again.
And do any men find themselves on that path as well?
It's really interesting. We have one gentleman on our
Oh,
pathway.
you know what? One is so much more than none.
Exactly. And that's not to say it isn't open to men. It's just, as far as I'm aware, there's been no further application. So I think many of us would welcome that kind of anchoring in energy of the masculine at times. But Goddess works in her own way. She calls us to serve when we are meant to serve. So
Yeah.
who's not to say in the future that there won't be more? But we do have one star brother at the moment.
So it sounds like a really inclusive space. Would like complete brand new beginners be able to pick it up?
Oh, absolutely. So when I started the course predominantly, although I've had lifetimes as a priestess astrologer, in this lifetime, I'd kind of only really followed the moon and maybe read my horoscope. And there was this moment of actually, I had a reading. The next thing I know, I'd booked the course, paid the deposit, sorted my accommodation out before actually asking the tutor, is it all right if I join the course? So I was pretty much starting off from a very low level knowledge. I had a lot of knowledge, but not specific knowledge. And we've had people coming in from absolute novices to people who are really, really highly experienced. And it's worked beautifully both ways because the experience have had to learn a very different way of working. And those of us who haven't had the experience and, for example, have never done a priestess training either, have just been able to kind of really grow into the role. And a priestess astrologer is a very new role in the fact that this is a very new way of working going forward. It's a very old way of working, but obviously a relatively new way of working. So it's the old way coming back and translating. So it really is for anyone. And it's very much about, do you have the call of the Star Mother? And if she's calling you, at some point, you will either end up on that course or you will end up honoring her in some way through your service.
Yeah, that's so amazing because I'm thinking, it's not new, is it? Even 200 years ago, astrology and astronomy were the same thing.
Yeah, and if you go back even further and you think of two rather, how should we say, got a bit of a reputation, these boys, John Dee and Edmund Kelly. You think about them, they were the court. John Dee was the court astrologer for Elizabeth I. You know, Kelly was his squire. They did a lot of working together until it became unacceptable. But for a long time, royal courts always had a royal astrologer, essentially. And then it was only after we kind of get to the Reformation, we get to the Witchcraft Acts, that, you know, astrology disappears. But astrology, astronomy, and alchemy were all deeply related. It's
And
only as we got
medicine,
into more
but
technology.
medicine as well. It was all inside the same kind of corner of the library. One of my favorite drawings, where is it? It's on the, um, where is it? Oh, I'm not going to find it, but I love that drawing of like a body with a different star sign sort of next to the, next to the body part that it impacts, because astrology was in all ways of life. In when you look at like old even psychology, all the definitions and descriptions are practically the four elements.
Precisely. And if you also look at medical astrology, so the first thing when you and I would have gone to the healer would have been to draw up your chart before they did anything to you. And what's really interesting for me is that some of my sisters have actually gone back into that kind of astrology for health as well. So as part of the course, we learn about the body, we learn, you know, how that the astrology affects it, whereas that's not the route that I've gone down. But I do have some sisters who will give kind of sacred health readings because they're using your chart to really help get to the bottom of what is actually wrong with you, for example, or
Yeah.
not wrong with you, but what is affecting you at the time. So I'm an Aries. So Aries is very much about the head. And I've suffered from migraines for a long time. But until I made the link, it was like, yeah, this really, really makes sense. So there are people, there's kind of very much an emerging kind of, not science per se, but emerging way of working, of
And
looking at your
art.
health through an intuitive goddess astrology reading.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. It's really, really exciting. I want to go through a few of the messages to see
Absolutely.
what all of us have been saying, but then I would love to know a little bit about like your early experiences within Goddess Astrology. I'm so excited. So we've got some messages from Nigel, messaging in from Facebook saying, "Hi everyone, how are you doing today?" And he says, "I'm okay, thank you." We're okay, thank you. And we've got, oh, my whole screen just jumped. Give me give me a second. I'm also producing this, so as best as I can. Lucianne says hi about mwah. Joanne says I am from Canada, and Nigel says, wait, I'm from the North Pole, like Santa. Dal Dal says hello Inbal. Sandy says hello Inbal. Sabrina says hi Inbal. Must be before you came on the screen. Sabrina says hi everyone. And there we go. Mark says good evening Morgana. Hope that you're okay. Nice to see you here. Good.
Thank you, Mark.
Um, Mark, who's down the road in Yorkshire, says, first time ever, I'm getting a suntan. What is going on with me? Freckles galore. At least I know where child gets that from. And Sabrina says, where I live, the sun is burning the cement. Yeah, no, we barely even managed to get like our grass dry. Roger says, howdy, everyone. Dal Dal says, ooh,
Ooh.
I know. Is the age of Aquarius the 3D going into 5D transition or the split of the old Earth, the new Earth? I'm going to put that question on one side and we're going to come back.
Love that.
And look, yeah, that is a meaty question. Mark says, oh, excited about the Norse tradition. Indeed, he says, oh, sorry, I'm really trying to get the messages up. It's harder than it looks for me. Mark says, indeed, a lot of midwives, medicine women, herbalists were executed when the Witchcraft Act came into play, sadly. I think also like women with moles and stuff, women with
All
cats.
sorts. Unmarried women, married women, yeah.
Yeah. It was almost as inclusive as the movement.
And don't forget, men were also persecuted under the Witchcraft Act as well. We often forget that.
I didn't know that. Were they?
Yeah.
Under what? Like, because I've read
As
like
male
what?
witches.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
disgustingly news to me. Mort is greeting everyone. Hey, Mort, great to see you. And Lona's made it early, saying yoo-hoo, everyone. Hi, Lona. Hi, Bal. Lucianne says, I always believe that the time when these things are kept separate, joined once more, will be when the world truly heals. I agree so much. I don't even know what to do with my body for how badly I agree with this. Lorna is greeting everyone. And sorry, my screen is not very sophisticated. And Mark says, didn't know about the males either. Oh, do you know, should we take like a little moment for each to think about the men in our lives that would have definitely got tried and found guilty? Because we've all got them. Could be you watching. Shall we go back to Daldal's question? So
yeah.
it's about the age of Aquarius, which I admit I also find very confusing because of the Pluto in Aquarius that that has just sort of gone in. So the age of Aquarius from the song, is that the right age? It is.
Absolutely. And I'm just
So when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars.
Precisely. So I actually have written a whole book on this. So it's called, I haven't got a copy with me, I'm packed a load to post today actually. It's called The Star Fire Leaders of the Age of Aquarius. So Daldal's question is brilliant. Is the Age of Aquarius 3D going into a 5D transition?
I want to pull up the book and I'll put it on the screen. I don't know how to do it in like a sophisticated way, so I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
Thank you. So is the Age of Aquarius 3D going into 5D? So firstly, Daldal, I see 3D, the ego, ego, going into 5D love. So we're going from a place of separation into a place of oneness, and that is a oneness of all being all together, but also a oneness with ourselves and with source. Or the split of old earth into new earth. Now, for me, old earth could actually be the 3D aspect, matrix, essentially, the ego. And new earth is 5D, depending on what tradition that you're currently following. So if you're very much down the ascension pathway, we talk a lot about new earth, we talk a lot about 5D. Yes, thank you so much, my darling. And what I would say to that is the age of Aquarius is, for me, 3D going into 5D, but it's a lot more than that. It's basically really shifting as a collective as well as personally into this 5D. Don't let yourself get confused. A lot of people are talking about 6D, 7D, 8D at the moment. What we want to be thinking of as a personal and collective aspect is we're going from a state of ego and materialism and patriarchal control through, dare I say it, the church, into a place of love. However you see that love, connection and collaboration as well. So the age of Aquarius is a lot more than just Pluto in Aquarius as well. So Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 odd years. That for me is very much the kickstart of moving into the age of Aquarius. Pluto is kind of like the starter. The problem we've got, and this is a whole essay topic on itself, Inbaal, I do apologise, is that this is called the precession of the equinoxes. And this precession of the equinoxes sometimes means that the two parts actually overlap as well. So we're seeing the end of the age of Pisces as the age of Aquarius is beginning. So for me, there's about maybe 150 years, 200 years overlap. We say astrologically that the age of Aquarius truly starts when the sun rises in the east at spring equinox in the sign of Aquarius, and that is still going to be another 150 years away. However, we're already starting to see the energies coming through as well, and the sun, as it rises at spring equinox, is in the tail end of Pisces, which does start to overlap into Aquarius. So that's the kind of astrology and astronomy point of view. The age of Aquarius for me, Dal, is new earth, is 5D. It's a new template of living should we choose to break free from the 3D matrix. And that won't be the choice that everybody makes. I really hope that answers the question. I'm trying to condense down what is my book into a kind of a few minute answer. It's a fascinating topic and something I can talk on for hours, because the turn of the ages, the precession of the equinoxes are really, really powerful and potent. The age of Aries was pretty much seeing the Romans come in and create their empire. The age of Pisces saw not just the Roman, it was like a war that precluded the Roman Empire. At the turn of the ages for Pisces was the birth of Yeshua and Magdalene. And then that set the last 2,000 years of how we have used religion to as an expression of control, maybe that's the word I'd like to use. Hope Facebook don't boot us off. But the highest expression of Yeshua and Magdalene was unconditional love. The lowest expression was the manipulation and distortion of true love, the control, essentially. And now we're going to the age of Aquarius. It's all about community, connection, collaboration as well, or technocracy. So I hope that answered the question. It's trying to condense down, which is, several months of study into a vaguely precise, concise answer.
No, but I think that's really, really helpful. Also, I finally understand why they go backwards. But let me hold up. Phew. But yeah, let me hold up the book cover. So it's available right now on Amazon for the discerning purchaser.
So the discerning purchase available on Amazon in either Kindle or paperback form, or if you follow me on Facebook, you will find, on Instagram, you will find a link, because there is a 1st anniversary celebration where I paid postage for you.
Oh,
if you
that
live in
is
the UK.
nice.
If you live in the UK, I will go to Canada as well. So we're just so you can either buy it through Amazon or you can buy it through a link on my Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's really, really exciting. And so when your sort of fellow sisters from the sisterhood go into different fields, like the sacred health, what are the different sort of paths that goddess astrologers go to, and where is your kind of universal special place?
So we all offer very much the similar services of birth chart readings, solar return readings. Some of the sisters will go into the kind of the romantic, the synastry kind of relationships where you overlay two charts. That really isn't my bag. People who go into sacred health. We have got people who are very much the channels for goddess as well. So not only reading the stars, they're kind of bringing through her words. I'm trying to think of what else. Other people are very normal people as well. So they have everyday jobs. They're using that as part of their own personal practice. We also have some people who work more in a corporate environment as a kind of corporate astrological coach. And for me, it's very much about writing and speaking, because my North Node, which is kind of your future self, is in Gemini. But for me, it's about taking these 5D leaders, these Aquarian Aeon leaders, the New Earth leaders, whatever badge you want to call it, essentially a heart-led leader who's here to be a way shower and change maker. My role very much is to mentor them and to support them to use astrology to alchemize their shadow so they can really step out as a true leader. It's very much about empowerment rather than the kind of slavishly following templates that you often see kind of in the online world. And for me, it's about empowering them, but also through my work teaching about goddess, speaking about goddess. And my side project that goddess has currently got me on is very much looking at the dwarf planets and the new goddess archetypes for the Aquarian Aeon. So that's kind of my pet project. But for me, it's about bringing on these new Earth leaders, these heart-led leaders, because goddess has everything sorted out, because my other life before I kind of gave everything up and decided to be a coach and be a healer and then to become an astrologer, I was actually a senior manager in a corporate role. So I've kind of managed teams, managed multi-million-pound investment projects. So I'm bringing in that kind of corporate structure and understanding of leadership, but also the understanding that leadership is going to change and evolve to a very much a flatline structure, but in a way that every voice is important, but how do you still uniquely lead through your embodiment of your chart, through the embodiment of your truth as well. So that's very much where my niche, I hate that word, but that's very much where my work is currently taking me down, as well as doing kind of the birth chart readings and supporting people on a personal basis. It's very much about leadership.
Yeah, I was thinking that to be like phenomenal in the corporate space, you do have to be quite psychic and very attentive to people's particular skills and very intuitive in knowing which products or which services would be successful and not successful. I think in order to be phenomenal anywhere, but especially in quite a visible space, you need the same skills.
I absolutely agree. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that they're already using them because they're using them in a workspace. They instantly know, is that going to be the right investment? They instantly know the right words. For example, I used to write a lot of investment papers to put down on an investment paper. They know how to present themselves. They know which meeting's going to go well. They can read the energy of the room, but people are just like, oh, it's just what I do every day. It's like really tap into that resource, really, grow that. But and I think some of the reasons that we get so stressed and frazzled and burnt out, particularly as women, particularly as corporate leaders, is because we're constantly using our skills and our abilities that are more psychic, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, without realizing. So we don't put the boundaries in, we don't do the energetic work because we're just not aware. So we feel utterly drained. And I know you're a Pisces, you understand that, if we don't have cultivate those good boundaries, we can kind of frazzle out. So I think it is there are so many people who are so capable if they allow themselves and don't have the stigma attached to going into something that, they might get the leg pulled about if they
Yeah.
actually told them. But, Inbaal, I used to walk into meetings and I used to have my investment papers and I would have done a prayer on that investment paper. When I was doing Reiki, I'd have drawn symbols over it, I'd have done sigil magic, whatever. And I knew every time that I was going to do it. So I was constantly doing it without really understanding what I was doing, just having the intention. And then the more I've studied, the more you realize it's a form of magic as well. So yeah, absolutely encourage anyone in that kind of corporate space to connect to the heart, connect to their intuition, and use it to really make strategic, heart aligned choices for themselves and also for the businesses, because businesses need to change too.
Yeah. So we've got you, in investments, and then you jump in and sort of get started and commit yourself completely to the spiritual world. Now, I know that you're Aries and I know Aries, so I know the fact that you did all of it in one go is completely normal, and it's the only way it works. But then you must have had experiences, the experience that people have before they sign up. By power of being Aries, you'd have those experiences, of course, after you've jumped,
Mhm.
feet in and, head first. So, what kind of mystical stuff happened to make you understand that you're staying?
So it all starts when I was very, very small. And
Ah,
my absolute belief that I could jump down a set of stairs and fly. Now, I'm convinced I did it to this day. I am convinced I could jump from that top step down to the bottom and not hurt myself. Convinced I could do it. I had an imaginary dog called Simon. He was a beautiful golden retriever. And so I was quite aware of energies. I was always having fairy tea parties. And I just knew. And obviously, as you get to a little older, it's a little bit uncomfortable for the grown ups, isn't it? So Simon was relegated to imaginary friend. And I grew up in a very normal Yorkshire household. Everybody went to church on Sundays. Eventually, I went to school, went through the whole kind of being confirmed into the Church of England, kind of locked it all away. But there was part of me sometimes would read UFO books, and I think I got a mystery book once, and it mentioned the poltergeist from Pontefract. And Mum was like, "Oh, you can't read any more of that," despite the fact she brought me the book, because you're a teenager and that might happen in this house. I'm like, "What am I, some kind of weird dark portal?" And I kind of left it there. And then I went into the corporate world. So I've got 2 law degrees. So I did my bachelor's and I did my master's, got a legal practicing certificate, went into the railway, started in big investment projects. Ended up being a program manager. But around 28, just as I was having my Saturn return, things started to crumble a little bit. And I was reading a book, and it's called The Glass Painter's Daughter by Rachel Paul. And that, for some reason, had come into my life from my mum because I borrowed some books because I was bored. And that started something unbelievable. So from there, suddenly, instantaneously, I was looking for angels. I was kind of interested in it. I bought my first pack of angel cards. At this moment in time, my marriage was crumbling around me. Got married at 27, and suddenly I remembered who I was. I went to have quite a lot of healing, and I remember walking in, as I was getting divorced, walking into Glastonbury for a reading, because obviously I did a bit of a Shirley Valentine, went to Glastonbury on my own to find myself. And as I walked in, she said, "And you should be sat here doing this, and I shouldn't be giving you the reading." I was like, "Sorry, excuse me, what?" So from there, and I was about 30 at that time, I started to really gradually build up my experiences. So I was doing kind of Reiki training because that was the thing to do. I was sitting in development circles, did my yoga teacher training, learned to be a meditation teacher, learned to be kind of a well-being kind of mindset coach. So all this was kind of going on. So I was living 2 lives of kind of closet spirituality during the weekend and then kind of corporate world. And it got to December 19th, and I literally turned around to my partner and said, "That's it, I'm done, I'm out. I've had enough." And he went, okay, do the maths, show me the plan, prove to me it works, off you go, put your notice in January. And that's literally what happened. So I was having all these amazing experiences and this really strong call to do it. Notice went in January. Obviously, we locked down on my birthday. But throughout all this time, I was having these experiences and really channeling. So I do a lot of channeling, a lot of automatic writing, which has gone from kind of like 2 or 3 words to pages and pages and pages. And then my psychic skills started getting back again. You know, I was starting to kind of do a little bit of mediumship. I'm not massively comfortable doing it, but I was really starting to see everything as energy again. And it was just everything kind of clicked. So I did the Aries thing, and then you're right, everything just kind of totally bloomed. And then the next thing I know, I am, you know, going deeper and deeper into astrology and really listening to the call of goddess. So I can see looking back, she's weaved her thread the whole way through my life. And she was giving me all the experiences so I could understand that when I left, there was this massive treasure trove there of skills. And it's really only in the last 6 months I've kind of gone back and opened it up, because I was kind of suffering a little bit of post-corporate kind of trauma from coming out and kind of going into a brave new world. And suddenly it's like, here's the treasure trove of gifts.
Yeah.
Now you understand all these experiences and you've done some shadow work. Oh, and there's more shadow work to do. But it's suddenly like, wow, okay, I can see why she wanted me, even to get to this point today, or, you know, when we've met in person, all the little crumbs that she gives you. And suddenly you're like, wow, okay, I'm really, really listening now. And she just weaves her thread is throughout the whole of my life, consciously or unconsciously. And now it's like, now I see you.
Yeah, that's amazing. And do you know what really sort of jumped to me when you were talking? Because the 19th of December is like barely, we're just going into Capricorn. You already have a business plan. And then we lock down just going into Aries.
I know. And when I look at
You
my
don't
business,
even
like,
wait for the season to ripen. You don't even wait for the season to get out of bed and wash its face first. You don't even wait for the season to have its first morning wee before you ride it.
no, absolutely. And that's obviously, I'm an Aries, but I'm also a Sag rising, Sag moon. So it's kind of, you know, act first, think, oh, in a few months' time, you know. But it's
If
one of
at
those
all.
things. And if you actually look at my business astrology when I set it up, which was 2015 when I first registered it at Company's House, it's a Capricorn. So it's kind of, it's very, very kind of hardworking. And yeah, it's a very different energy. But if you look at that chart, you then also see me within that as well. So it's quite, yeah, that Capricorn season, I always find Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn going into Aquarius, that is always the busiest time for the star priestesses, because it's the dark part of the year. That's when we do that's when we do the work, essentially.
Yeah. I could ask so much more, but I'm first of all very aware that I don't want for us to go over an hour, because then it's so much harder to upload it to Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also important. But also, we've had a couple of questions.
Okay.
So we don't know what the questions are yet, but Anne Eva is saying, hello, can we ask psychic questions today? And she's sending hearts in all the colors, maybe for Pride Month. So would you be happy to do just 1 or 2 quick questions before we finish? Have you got a tool there?
Absolutely, yes. I've got some beautiful cards. I've got the Eyes of the Soul Oracle deck by Cheryl the Ambach Rose, which I've been working with a lot
Very
recently. So I'm more
nice.
than happy to pull a card.
And Latra says howdy from Texas. Nilda is saying hi to ladies and everyone else. Dal's getting back to you and says we need to understand it and you make more sense of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilda.
No, you have no idea how sensible it was when you said, but you actually mentor. Now, I know that a couple of weeks ago you had 2 spaces for mentoring, and I know at least one is gone. Have you still got spaces for
Yeah,
mentoring?
so they were 2 VIP days. So they were working with me in person. They've actually gone, I'm afraid. So they'll be
Mm.
opening up again in August and September. But I do online mentoring, so a kind of 6 months working with me to understand, firstly, to understand your birth chart, and then to really pick out who you are, how you lead, how you are going to make an impact in this bright new shiny world that looks a bit unshiny at the moment that we are going into. So we really worked together over kind of 6 months to drill down into your leaderships, create some really tangible plans, and I am essentially your biggest cheerleader in that. So I really empower you rather than giving you the solutions and the answers like most online coaches do. But we use this through this kind of really unique blend of alchemy, astrology, a little bit of channeling when Goddess wants to come through to you as well, but making sure that you really step out and shine rather and stand in your own authentic truth as well, which I think we really need people to do.
That's amazing. Amy says, hi. Oh, hi, Amy. Um, Mark is very excited about Yorkshire people here. I'm not Yorkshire people, I'm a Yorkshire resident.
Well,
Um,
that counts these days.
adopted,
I don't live
adopted.
in Yorkshire anymore, so we've done a swap, so I think that's quite fair.
Yeah. I'm having all the tea cakes that you aren't. Um, Amy says, I'm Sagittarius. Spelling, we love
I can
Sagittarius.
never spell it either.
No, it is a bit of an insanity.
Ooh.
Mark is like you, also Saggy rising, Saggy moon, and he's an
Oh, a
Aquarius.
little bit more balance than balance than me.
But more balanced than Aries is not fair. It's um, we've got Anne. Anne is still here, so if you want to put through your question, by all means. Lorna is chatting to Amy. Amy's chatting to Lorna. Taryn is here. And have we got there we go. So we've got one question from Anne. Just a little bit of info if you've got. Do you see a romantic development with someone from my past, please? It's a man.
So everyone knows don't do romantic questions, but I always seem to get them. So I'm just going to pull one card. Well, that one there. That's what's going to come. Okay, so the card is very much run wild for a while. So it's very much linking into the spirit of the wolf. And what I really feel that this card is asking you to do is just to really tap into your innate sense of self, to actually get really, really comfortable with who you are, to really understand who you are as that kind of alchemical blend of the elements, but also to really let your hair down and not have expectation around it, because the more that we expect things to happen, the less likely they are. But this card for me is really asking you to find your inner wild and wise woman, because she essentially really wants to move within you. I don't know if you can see the card. Sorry, I tend to read the card at the same time, but it's this sense of actually really getting to know yourself again and really running wild, just having a little bit of fun and not fixating. So not what you wanted to hear, but it is about knowing yourself first.
Amazing. Thank you, Anne. Let us know if it makes sense. And Taryn's actually got a little question saying, can I ask a question regarding my relationship? It's getting hectic day by day. I tell you, it's probably, the most tempting practice to say, well, I'm not going to do a specific thing anymore. And then that's when you see a whole parade of all the stuff that you've resolved not to do, turning up on your door and knocking it down.
Yeah.
If you were to say, oh, I'm going to specialize in relationships, now you're going to get all the questions you prefer.
So what I am going to get really from there is, firstly and foremost, really think, that's the card I want. Really think about your communication. How are you communicating? If things are feeling really, really hectic, being super clear about your expectations and what you want, and sharing them in a very loving way, because it's often when we get into this place, it feels like there's a lot of anxiety, and when we're in that anxious state, we want more and more reassurance, and we kind of almost thrive on that anxiety as well, because it becomes our friend. But also we can have people in our lives who are a little bit more detached and often need their space. So what I would really say to you is think about how you're communicating, and actually set down time to communicate and communicate effectively with each other. Really understand each other's love language. Does one of you prefer loving affirmations? Does the other one give, for example, by service, by making cups of tea? And the card that I actually pulled out was really, really beautiful, which is you are cherished and protected. So also remember to cherish yourself, to cherish your relationship, and really speak from your heart, but have clarity about what you want, but also how you can really support that relationship as well. But it does, my throat's starting to really hurt, so it just feel it's very much about clarity in your communication and loving communication to stop that hectic feeling.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So we're really sort of, that was plenty. Thank you very much. Let me read the rest of the questions, and then I have an astrology question for you. Thank you
Ooh.
very much. Oh, um, Anne has posted the question. Lorna's saying, I'm at home doing boring stuff. I've set the timer for 10 minutes thing that I saw on YouTube, and see how much you can get in that time. Can't be bothered getting up to. Yeah, I relate to that just so bad. Anything I see, like my genre of things that I watch for fun is tidying stuff, which is so much more fun than tidying.
Yeah.
Just watch it on the phone. Brilliant content, fabulous content. Um, we've got, yeah, I think we've got all the messages, and I'm flashing all of them up so that, so that the algorithm likes us and sees that we Sorry, I know it's really cruel, but I'm giggling at Anne saying I missed the answer to my question after saying I sent it twice. Yeah, sorry, you're gonna have to watch it again. We're definitely not repeating the beautiful answer. But yeah, just a quick astrology thing. Have you seen anything in any ephemeras, any book, anything that is showing you when world peace is coming? Because beauty queens across the universe have been promising to work for it, and I see gorgeous women, but peace I don't see. And I want to settle that in my. Is there anything? Because I was hoping so much from that Pluto in Aquarius, and if anything, so far, I would say it's made things worse. Where am I finding that peace, that happiness, that
Apart
balance?
from within yourself, no. So I will be very honest. I have got Saturn, Mars, and Pluto all in Scorpio. So I'm quite Scorpionic. I'm quite skeptical. The problem we've got at the moment, at the time that we are recording, we have got Saturn and Neptune both in the early degrees of Aries, and Saturn is currently square to Jupiter. Jupiter is now moved into Cancer. Cancer is all about the home, and that square essentially is defending what is dear to us. Okay,
Wow.
whatever that looks like, however that looks like. Unfortunately, people might be taking that to the nth degree at the moment, defending what is dear to us. So that transit will lessen. It has been going on since about 2020. We keep getting these kind of squares coming along. At the moment, from what I have been channeling as well, I find that when we're having a lot of platitudes at the moment about, oh, this is going to happen, we're going to ascend to new earth, it's going to be peaceful and wonderful. At the moment, we as a global collective are in very much a low expression of both Saturn and Neptune being in Pisces. Now, they are going to go back into Aries, sorry. They're going to go back into Pisces during the dark half of the year. And on the 20th, I've got to get this right, it's either the 20th or the 21st of February next year, there is a really historic, or we're calling it historic, conjunction of Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries. So this has never ever happened before. Saturn and Neptune have met in Aries numerous times, but never at 0 degrees. That is the start of the zodiac wheel. Okay, so it's really, really historic. The problem I see is that Neptune in Aries usually has, if we then look at, years and years and years of Neptune being in Aries, it's really historic. It's always a time of revolution, always a time of empire building, empires falling. It is quite a violent aspect. So the question, therefore, is how do we personally affect the collective? Because you and I both know there's nothing that we can do to change a government, for example. It's just not part of what we are here to do or how it's going to be done. At the moment, I can't feel my galactic guides coming in to restore the equilibrium. So a lot of people talk about the ships around the world coming in to restore, and they will never ever let a nuclear device go off again. At the moment, I am really getting the sense, sorry, this is really miserable, that they are actually not intervening at the moment because they need us to learn the lessons of the past, and we have not learned the lessons of the past. If you
Oh,
look at history,
learning lessons suck so hard. I
uh-huh,
hate learning lessons more than anything.
but if you think about it, it's generation after generation repeating in different aspects.
Yeah.
You and I could have been in the Roman Empire. We could have incarnated in Babylon, for example. We could have incarnated in the Habsburgs, so the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the French Empire, the Portuguese, the British. These just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. So at the moment, I am like you. I cannot see a way out of this. And I also feel at the moment that although we do have a lot of galactic support, they're letting it play out a little bit more, because actually there's a lesson, there's something here that hasn't clicked, and it's going to take something massive to actually click. Does that make sense? It's a really uncomfortable message to deliver, but we're talking, not just one or two conflicts. We're talking, this is a globe of conflict at the moment on
The
so
sun
many
never
different
sets on the
places.
conflict at the moment. There is a
And
sunrise over each conflict in turn. That's actually such a great answer, because as a real optimist, I'm hearing building empires. I'm thinking, well, if a new empire builds, maybe the other empires are not going to be so cocky anymore. So, as you know, when you're an optimist, you find the little grain of joy in literally anything, and it's contagious, but also putting it in the context of all the things that have happened and all the things that will happen. It's fine. Our forefathers survived this, and their forefathers survived that, and we're still, illuminating the earth, doing with that what what we will.
and just kind of with the empire and building empires is, what actually do we want to build?
Yeah,
There you go. And
I
I
know.
can't answer that, because we all know we have to start that and start building that in our hearts now. And we have to embody the earth that we want to live in.
And each of us is a small light, and together we can be
Exactly.
a very big light. I appreciate your honesty so much. I think there is no one better to give you news than Aries, because you got the news. You didn't get, so it did not give, this is not fobbing off. This is what is going on. I think it's very reassuring, very relieving. If anyone wants to find you, how do they find you?
Easiest place to find me is on Instagram. If you just quick look up Morgana Sophia Astrologer, I am there. You can find me on Facebook, or morganasophia.com. You can find me there as well, and you can join my mailing list as well. But I'm quite active on both Facebook and Instagram.
Fabulous. Thank you so, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule Hopefully, we're going to have all of this ready and packaged for you to put on all of your platforms as well. And I see that Dal Dal has already got the book in her cart.
Oh, thank
I
you.
invite all of you to learn as much as possible. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you,
Mwah.
both. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Bye.